welcome to Roller Baz and CoasterDad, but there's no Baz. Where is he? He's not allowed to come. He'd actually be too scared to come, because today we're looking into the future of a scare attraction you might have experienced last year at Alton Towers. At Alton Towers last year, they took a different approach to one of their scare mazes. It wasn't a maze, it was a dark audio experience inside a shipping container made alongside the Binaural theatre group, Darkfield. Darkfield specialise in experiences that happen in the dark, that are creepy, that are scary. And right now I'm at the Edinburgh Festival, because I live in Edinburgh, and they have 3 experiences here that I'm going to try out today. The newest of which is COMA, which is appearing right here at Summer Hall. These are going to be experiences that will hopefully creep me out, but also they should give us some idea, especially COMA, of what is possible for the future of an event like the Invitation, be it at Alton Towers, be it at Thorpe Park. The interesting thing about the Invitation is that it wasn't super well received last year. People found it's an experience where you go into the dark and there is maybe something a little bitey there. I won't ruin it too much, because there is a chance it'll be back in exactly the same form. We don't know what's happening at Scarefest yet this year, certainly not at the time I'm recording this. But yeah, the reviews weren't great. My review wasn't great. You can have a look at my review. It's going to be up here. But yeah, it wasn't positive because, I don't know, there was something about that subject matter I thought at the time, well, I thought afterwards, that was really specifically visual. And it is the visual things about that particular thing that maybe get you more than the feelings and the sounds. And so I think maybe it was a little bit too on the nose. So I'm very, very interested to try out these 3 experiences, especially the newest one, to see if, when they're unfettered by having to fit to theme park ideas and rules, if Darkfield can do something a bit more creepy and a bit more interesting. Let's find out. So here we are at Pleasantstone at the Edinburgh Fringe. We are in Bristow Square, which is the centre of student life if you're at the University of Edinburgh. And here is SEANCE, which I think is the oldest of the 3 experiences they've got going on from Darkfield in Edinburgh at the moment. I think it says it all on the box, doesn't it? It's going to be about SEANCE. So let's get inside and find out how it compares to the Invitation. Well, I'm just out of SEANCE and I can see massive comparisons with the Invitation. It's got the same kind of layout, like if you've been on the Invitation, you're sitting in rows on either side. That showing, because this is the afternoon on a quiet Thursday, was fairly empty, and because I was sat in the middle, so I got a much better sense of the audio than I did when I sat on the end, which you might have seen me complain about in the Invitation. I'll just explain that in case you haven't seen the other video. When you're sat on the end, the audio was the same in the Invitation as it would have been if you were sat in the middle, so there are things happening off to your side, and you would have to just imagine that there wasn't actually a wall there, that there were other people lined up to the left of you who were part of the experience, which was really, really off-putting and threw me out of it. So I was prepared for that today, and I was able to sit in the middle, but in the middle of an empty row pretty much. So again, I knew there was no one to the left, no one to the right. And where the audio is trying to trick you into thinking the other audience members are reacting in a particular way, which is a big part of how these things seem to work, again, you get thrown out of it. So I'm hoping that some of the later things don't do that and don't have that problem. But in terms of the actual experience itself, I think it was better than the Invitation, definitely. There is a kind of interactive element in the middle of the room with the table. I won't go into that in case you're ever going to come and see this. And by the way, these things are touring around the whole world all the time. So, and I think there's more than one of each of these big containers doing a show. So I will stick the Darkfield, oh look, I think that is darkfield.org. I'll put their website in the notes below this video. But yeah, you can go and try these things out yourself. You don't have to listen to me and trust my opinion. My opinion might be wrong. But yeah, so it had this big interactive element in the middle. It was much better than the kind of slightly simplified version that they did for the invitation. A big part of it seems to be like the going in and having a look at the setting before the lights go out to set your mind going and seeing things. There were things I could see connected with the seance and you're thinking, oh, is that going to happen later in the show? So yeah, I think it was better. I'm hoping for more from these later ones and to see how the concept has moved on. So here we are now at EULOGY, and the bump on the Darkfield website says that I'm facing a trip through a labyrinthine and dreamlike hotel. So straight away I'm thinking of that Doctor Who episode with the Minotaur-like thing with Matt Smith. What's going to be coming up for me? Well, that was interesting. I've still got my ticket. It tells me, if you can see, which suite I was in at the hotel. And that is the most interesting thing about this in terms of something that will translate over to the invitation or a similar experience at Alton Towers. I think this one, with the ticket thing, gave you a particular word that personalised things for you, and that was used in an interesting way on the audio to give you something that was aimed directly at you. It felt like it was kind of a little bit more aimed directly at you, and there was a sense in the invitation that they were trying to do that, but there wasn't that thing you could hook onto. So yeah, I would take that across into the next iteration of the invitation or whatever might come along to replace it. In terms of the actual play itself, I mean, like, yes, dreamlike, confusing, that was interesting, but I'm not sure that would carry across in quite the right way for a theme park version of this attraction. But yeah, let's get on to the next show. I think the real question I want to answer today about these Darkfield experiences is, does the gothic horror element that Alton Towers hooked into, does that add to the experience, or does it weirdly take away from it in that it's too fantastical to be realistic when you're trying to imagine yourself into that space in the dark experience? Also, in Britain, where, you know, here in Edinburgh we have Gothic architecture all around us and old architecture of all types, is there still going to be that fear of the odd and the new that there might be if you're from another country that was post-colonial like America, or another English-speaking country like Australia or New Zealand? If you're in one of those places, and Darkfield does travel to those places, would these older things that the invitation hooked into have more of a power and a chill over you than something more modern? So here we are, the newest of these Darkfield experiences. It's been around since 2019, and it is COMA. Obviously there's a medical angle to this one, and a lot of people are creeped out by the medical. I think it's a much more interesting theme than the supernatural one that Alton Towers chose last year. There are quotes from Kurt Vonnegut on the advertising material. Let's go see how it is. How nice to feel nothing and still get full credit for being alive. That's that Kurt Vonnegut quote that is on the advertising material, and this is a much more effective experience than the invitation. There's no doubt about it. I am most convinced by this that they've made a mistake at Alton Towers by going so on the nose with the traditionally horror theme. I think having something there which is a bit more Black Mirror, which this definitely is really the way to go. There's also a lot more tech involved in this one. You've got smell pods, you've got your binaural sound with the headphones, you've got other sounds coming from around you, you've got little physical things happening as well, but also some big physical things. So yeah, this is just a much better experience. If you were to bring something like this to Towers, to Thorpe Park, I'd be over the moon. I'd have given this a much better review. So I really hope that if they are going to work with Darkfield again, and I think they should, that they bring an experience much more like COMA, because yeah, it's night and day. It's night and day how much better it is to not be stuck with the kind of obvious idea that you come with a lot of baggage about, whereas yeah, this one is tapping much more into something a bit more basic for a lot of people and a bit more real. And I think the realness is good. It comes in and it gets you a bit more. You know me, I don't scare easily. I wasn't scared during this, but I really did enjoy it more. It was much more immersive. So thanks for joining me here in Edinburgh, and I will see you next time on Roller Baz and CoasterDad, where there will be a Baz, because it won't be so scary. I don't know what we're doing next, but if you do see us in the parks, give us a shout out. We'll say hi to anyone. We might even give you a sticker. So, see you next time. Check out some of my videos. I've been Scott, also known as CoasterDad, but Scott to you guys. And I'll see you next time on Roller Baz and CoasterDad.